Disney has always thrived at bringing their characters' animal companions to the forefront of the adventure, from Rapunzel's chameleon Pascal to Cinderella's friend Gus Gus and the other mice. But one animal that seemed to draw the short straw and only got minimal screen time toward the beginning of the movie was Moana's pet pig Pua. A lot of fans were disappointed that Pua didn't play a larger role in the movie, but after digging around online, it looks like there are a few fan theories that coincide with each other and explain the real reason why Pua didn't go along with Moana on her adventure. Be warned, it might be hard to watch a couple of scenes from the movie after this. It turns out that Pua might not have even existed for a large portion of the movie, if not all of it. Now, this might come as a huge shocker for those of you that were big fans of the adorable pig, but for those who might be wondering why it even matters whether or not Pua was around, it's important to note how much the little pig was actually used for the marketing of the movie. When Moana was first announced, Disney released a series of posters with promotional artwork that officially revealed characters from the movie that were believed to be the main characters. And if you look at the posters, you can clearly see Moana and Maui riding the former's boat across a massive wave. Well, you can probably guess who was front and center on that boat alongside the main character and demigod. That's right, Pua was sitting right at the head of the boat, and he can even be seen in the alternate poster, which shows a similar image just from the back side. On top of that, Pua was also the character that seemed to be closest to Moana as she was growing up at the beginning of the movie. So not only was it a shocker when it turned out to be Hey who stashed himself aboard Moana's boat because the pig played a bigger role in the first 5 minutes of the movie than the rooster, but he also appeared in a lot of the promotional work as well, and that made many fans feel as though Disney was hinting toward Pua being a main character. So when Pua didn't join Moana on her journey, a lot of viewers initially questioned why that was, and thankfully there's no shortage of fan theories about that very topic. Sadly though, the most likely scenarios spell out a tragic fate for Pua that was never shown on screen, with some insinuating that the pig never even existed in the first place. One of the most popular ideas that could explain Pua's absence during Moana's journey to find Maui and return the heart of Te Fiti is simply that the pig never actually existed in the first place, and Moana made him up to cope with her own loneliness. The idea that Pua wasn't real is something that sounds like it would be too ridiculous to possibly be true, but after rewatching the movie, it's shocking to see how little anyone other than Moana actually interacted with the adorable pig. But even if that were true, the other thing to consider is why exactly someone like Moana would need an imaginary friend in the first place, and the answer to that is actually quite sad. You see, there's a good chance that Moana lived a rather lonely life on the island, and that's not for lack of children to hang out with either. Toward the beginning of the movie, there was a scene that showed a young Moana sitting beside children that seemed like they were around her age, and they all drank from coconuts. So clearly there would be other people that were Moana's age by the time she left to go on her journey. Yet for some reason, Disney never showed the young girl actually hanging out with any of them, and that sadly might have been because of her lineage. Since Moana was the daughter of the chief and the next in line to take over, there's a good chance that she had very limited social interactions so that she could learn the ways of her people, and that limited social life most likely led to Moana being lonely, which is why she would have made up an imaginary friend to keep her company. According to this theory, that imaginary friend was none other than Pua, whose only interactions throughout the movie were with Moana herself. No one else ever even acknowledges Pua, not even when that one villager in the movie suggested cooking up Hey. You'd think he would have asked to eat the pig too, but there wasn't even the slightest mention of it. Now, you might be thinking that if you look back to the scene that was mentioned before that showed Moana next to the other children, you'll see Pua. This is technically true, and it even sort of looks like one of the children is looking at the pig as Moana was pouring coconut water into his mouth. However, a fan on Reddit pointed out that if you cover up Pua or take it out of that scene, the kid easily could have just been staring at Moana wondering why she would be pouring coconut water onto the ground. But in reality, at least according to this theory, Moana believed she was pouring it into the mouth of her imaginary friend Pua, who wasn't actually there. Now, a thought that might bring a tear to your eye is that Pua was around for the beginning of the movie and the majority of Moana's life up until the moment the poor pig drowned and died, which was why he couldn't make it on the journey with Moana. According to this theory, Pua existed and played a major role as one of Moana's closest companions throughout her childhood. However, on that fateful day when the two attempted to journey out beyond the reef, only the child made it back alive. It's certainly a dark thought, but one that has a lot of potential. The scene in question, of course, is that iconic sequence from the beginning of the movie when Moana decided to disobey her father and venture out beyond the reef in search of fish for her village. And pretty much the instant that Moana and Pua's boat passed the reef, they found themselves caught in a massive storm that destroyed their boat and sent them both into the ocean's watery grasp. After that moment, Pua wasn't shown on a boat again, and while that might seem like it was because he was too afraid to go near the water, this theory suggests something different. According to the theory, it's more like the pig drowned after being tossed into the sea by the rough waters, which is why he didn't join Moana to deliver the heart of Te Fiti. You see, some fans would argue that Pua was more like a dog than he was a pig. This was shown by his domesticated attitude throughout the beginning of the movie, and it seemed like he hardly left Moana's side. And if you're looking at it that way, then it could be argued that Pua wouldn't have let fear separate him from his owner. In other words, had he survived that ordeal on the boat, even if he was traumatized, there's a chance that Pua would have ended up on Moana's journey with her anyway. This is why some fans believe that he may have tragically died on the boat that day. Now, it should be noted that Pua was shown at the end of the movie during the final song, but much like Moana saw the soul of her grandmother, there's a chance that she was envisioning the darling pig after he had passed away. Now, interestingly enough, there is one last school of thought that's pretty much a combination of these two theories, but in a very dark and twisted way. You see, there are some fans who have suggested that Moana actually ate Pua on screen and even apologized to the imaginary version of the pig that was only there due to the guilt that the main character felt. There's a scene within the first couple of minutes of Moana when she is shown chowing down on a piece of pork. After she took a bite, Moana exclaimed how delicious it was before she was shown looking down at Pua, her pig, and apologizing for eating pork. The scene was really funny the first time around, but after hearing this theory, it's actually pretty morbid. According to this theory, the pork that Moana was actually eating was Pua. It's believed that as the villagers ran out of stable food sources, they resorted to eating some of the livestock that they had around the island, and that included Pua, whether he was Moana's friend or not. The theory goes on to suggest that Moana actually indulged and ate the pork, in turn eating the corpse of her best friend. And because of the guilt that she was feeling, her mind protected itself by believing that Pua was still alive. This would explain why no one else around the village ever suggested eating Pua, even though they were clearly going hungry. It's because they already did it. And though that would be a tragic end to the adorable pig's life, it would certainly explain why he didn't go on that journey with Moana. It's because he wasn't there after all. The only reason that audience members saw Pua after that moment was that Moana had to make herself believe that he was still alive. Otherwise, the guilt would have eaten her up like she potentially ate Pua. Honestly, it's hard to determine which of these theories is the best one to support because they are all so sad and dark, but all seem to have the evidence that could see them becoming canon. It's hard to stomach the idea that Pua was dead, though one of these theories literally saw Moana stomach the pig. That being said, it's also hard to think of another reason why her pet-like companion didn't join her to return the heart. What do you think though? Was there a bigger reason behind Pua staying on the island? And if so, which of these theories do you think was more accurate? Make sure you let us know in the comments below.